Happening right now, Caitlin Hunt is publicly talking about her arrest for having an alleged same-sex relationship with a minor. She is about to step up in front of the mics in a press conference right now. 18-year-old Hunt was arrested in February and charged with 2 counts of lewd and lascivious behavior with a child 12 to 16 years old. Caitlin's mother, Kelly Hunt Smith, sat down with Fox 29 News, our partner, just a few minutes ago, issuing a statement. This family has been talking about this for several days. This was a national story. It's made a lot of headlines revolving out of the Treasure Coast right now. We've been awaiting this Sebastian teenager to speak. Again, arrested for an alleged same-sex relationship with a minor right now. It appears her attorney is making some statements. Want to dip into this and listen in if we can.
But at this point, my practice has been disturbed by all the attention this case has gotten. I'm Julia Graves, and I'm Caitlin Hunt's attorney. So we made a decision to make a statement here this afternoon just to try to clear the air a little bit. I've written some things down, so I'm going to read it so that I'm very clear about what we're saying here today. I met Caitlin the day she was arrested at the Indian River County Sheriff's Department in the booking department. So I've been here since basically hour 1. But she's a very intelligent young woman who, until this ordeal, had a promising future. It was awaiting her. This was supposed to be one of the best times of her life as she graduated from high school in her senior year, where she's an honor student, and she moves on to adulthood. We've all heard the graduation announcements, we've all heard the speeches, and that just hasn't happened for her this year. Adulthood has come way too soon for her, and she now finds herself facing second-degree felony charges that put that future in jeopardy. While not commenting on the charges specifically, or our strategies, or where we are at this point on the specifics as the case is ongoing, we do have a team of lawyers, both local colleagues of mine and also other attorneys throughout the nation, who have offered us their help to see what can be done about this case. We've been working with Change.org, Equality Florida, and the ACLU, and they're all attempting to help us on Caitlin's behalf. This case is complex and it's sensitive in nature, and the process has deeply affected the lives of both of these 2 young women. It's my hope that Caitlin will be able to move forward with her life, and an important dialogue begins in this nation about adolescent relationships and the age of consent, regardless of sexual orientation. The State Attorney's Office, the Sheriff's Department, and the parents of the other girl involved are prosecuting her under a law intended to protect children from being preyed on by adults. And although 18 is an adult, we all know that truly seniors in high school are not adults. As the attorney for Caitlin, although there are different statements out there in the media, we have never, ever requested that the charges be completely dropped. We have suggested since the day of her arrest that we're willing to enter a plea to a misdemeanor charge with appropriate punishment that will allow everyone to move on and not dwell on this for their entire lives. Caitlin and her parents have been given until Friday to decide whether to go to trial and have the most intimate details of the relationship played out in public, or to take a plea agreement that includes forever having a record, even if adjudication is withheld. The charges that they've given her of the lesser to be included to are exceptions to the sealing statute. In addition, with the sex offender conditions, Caitlin would be subjected to sitting in group counseling meetings with legitimately convicted sex offenders that the law was truly meant for. It's our position that this is a misapplication of the law that will destroy the lives of 2 high school teenagers while doing nothing to truly serve justice. With the deadline coming up, at this time we hold out hope that common sense will prevail and the damage that's already been done will be mitigated by halting any felony prosecution. We are concerned for the emotional welfare of both of these teenagers under the stress of these avoidable circumstances. Unfortunately, the intimate details are a public record, and this is a humiliation few of us could have endured in our high school years. Caitlin is being prosecuted for engaging in behavior that is both fairly innocuous and extremely common. Such behavior occurs every day in tens of thousands of high schools across the country, yet those students are not facing felony convictions. And in Florida, the lifetime consequences of a felony conviction and potential lifelong branding as sex offenders. This is a life sentence for behavior by teenagers that is all too common, whether they are male or female, gay or straight. High school relationships may be fleeting, but felony convictions are forever. When we put this behind us, we will continue to work and reach out to lawmakers with the assistance of Equality Florida, the ACLU, and many others to address the failings of the law that criminalizes high school students and is too often used by parents who object to the race, ethnicity, or gender of the schoolmate their teenager is dating. Other states like Georgia have changed this to either a misdemeanor or no crime at all on a first offense of just counseling in a class in Wisconsin. We need to be more progressive here in the state of Florida. While effective laws are certainly needed to protect Florida's children from sexual predators, one cannot seriously maintain that Caitlin's behavior was predatory. Application of this law to Caitlin's conduct is an example of the troubling trend in Florida and across the country of criminalizing teenagers. The school-to-prison pipeline is filled with students whose behavior is better addressed by school officials and parents, not the criminal justice system. We do not need to turn teenagers into convicted felons who are prevented from then later contributing meaningfully to society because of unjust convictions. Even if Caitlin is able to avoid the sex offender registration, a felony like this, the one being offered of child abuse, will harm her for the rest of her life, damaging her employment prospects and even her right to participate in the community as a citizen, and possibly her right to vote. We're just thanking everyone for all the support that they've given to Caitlin, and she's not going to be making any statements to the media at this time until we know if she's taking the plea or the case is over. So I appreciate everyone. Thank you.
Can you talk to us a little bit about the Romeo and Juliet law and how this could have potentially helped her if it wasn't geared, or it's not geared towards homosexual relationships? And can you come a little closer to the mic? Thank you.
The Romeo and Juliet law is applied as far as the sentencing goes only. It's not something that can get her out of the case. It is applied where there's a number of years between the parties, and it does fit this situation. But we have to be able to prove, and everyone has to be able to agree, and the judge has to decide that the behavior was consensual and there was no coercement, persuasion, or things that were done that were not voluntary. So,
But it is truly the law is written for a guy and a girl, right?
it's Romeo and Juliet, yes.
So it's difficult for your case, I would imagine.
We'd still be able to use it if she was convicted under that statute. We would still be asking for that to apply to the sentencing.
When you first got this case, what was your personal feeling about it? Because you've been a lawyer, I'm sure you've seen lots of cases, but this case is unique. Can you talk a little bit about that?
This case is unique because I've had other cases with the same general type of circumstances, and we've been able to work through them and get a misdemeanor and work for the best interest of everyone involved. But it hasn't worked that way in this case, even though we've been trying from the day I found out who was assigned to the case. 4 days later, we started the communication, see if this case could be handled differently, if we could work something out, and that hasn't worked.
Does Caitlin have anything to say? I think there's a lot of people out there who would like to hear someone if she has anything to say.
She's appreciative of the support of her parents. She's not going to say anything in regards to the details of the case.
Can we just ask her
Make
how
a
she...
statement even without the details of the case?
Do you want to?
Obviously, even goes through on.
It's okay if you do make a statement, but not about the case.
See how I feel about
Yep.
this?
A little bit closer to the mic, please. Thank you.
She's better not making a statement, but thank you. It's a really tough time for her, and I don't think this is something she asked for, to have this much media attention, but when it came to the point where she's still facing felonies, I think her parents had no choice but to try to move forward with something to try to make a difference and try to make a change, because this is their child and this is her future, and that's why.
All right, back here live. You've just been hearing a press conference by Julia Graves, Caitlin Hunt's attorney, basically standing by her side, really demanding that her client there, Caitlin Hunt, avoid the sex offender registry, talking about how that would impact the rest of her life. This case has garnered national attention. We were expecting Caitlin Hunt to make a statement today, as you saw there. It's an emotionally charged case. She was overwhelmed by all of the emotion on this. The big question here is on Friday, in about 48 hours, this case is really going to come to a head. Caitlin's parents then must decide by Friday whether or not to take a deal offered by the state attorney's office, which basically would give her arrest, which basically would put her under child abuse charges. She'd be under community control for 2 years, followed by a year of probation. So she can basically take child abuse charges on Friday, a plea deal, or this case can move toward trial.
Also just into us right now, phone calls between Caitlin Hunt and her 14-year-old girlfriend. It was these phone calls, by the way, that Indian River County Sheriff's officers say gave them enough evidence to arrest and charge the 18-year-old with lewd and lascivious acts.